before we get into this, take a look at this beautiful Spider-Man VAZNEV 9K. Oh my days. So this VAZNEV 9K actually just received a nerf in the Season 3 update, but I still believe it is the best SMG. That being said, you might actually want to throw on the cost barrel because in the update, they did bring down the damage range, and so this would bring it back up, plus add a little bit more. Although the cost barrel is hurting the mobility by a lot, and so that's why myself and many other players do not run a barrel. By the way, do you want that Orion camo, but you're just a little bit too busy to grind through all 2,000 camos? If so, you should definitely check out Guapsi. Guapsi provides weapon leveling services, camo unlock services, challenge unlock services such as the Warzone Nuke, and many more for all the platforms. Also, if you are using this build and you're just like, I cannot hit my shots, there's just a little bit too much recoil, then I actually would go over to the muzzle, swap out the spiral flash hider for the broom pendulum. This is going to add so much recoil control, but it is going to hurt the mobility a little bit more, which is why we run the spiral. With all that said though, that is going to wrap it up for the VAZNEV 9K, and for the overall class, this is what I recommend you guys to use. Sometimes you can swap out the bomb squad for the battle harden, and then for the field upgrade, make sure you guys do run the dead silence. It helps you be very annoying. The enemies don't really know where you're coming from. For the next build I wanted to go over, this is going to be the LACHMANN 556, which this thing received a massive buff in this update. So I really want you guys to try out this LACHMANN class and let me know what you guys think about it. If you're on keyboard mouse, I feel like you'll really like this build. So this is the build that I'm rocking on it. There's a couple variations, but overall this is the build you want to use. For the muzzle, I chose the Sock and Tread 40 just to reduce the most amount of vertical recoil. It seemed to give the best recoil pattern. For the underbarrel, if you want more recoil control, feel free to run the Commando for it, but there really isn't that much recoil, so the Shark Fin 90 should feel the best. For the ammo, we are running the high velocity rounds to improve the overall net code on the game, makes the weapon feel a lot more responsive. And then for the rear grip, we are running the LMK64 grip to bring up the overall mobility, and then the same reasons go for the factory stock. This is kind of like the Cardinal stock on the attack, but for the LACHMANN, if you want, you can run the mobile. This will make the weapon a little bit snappier, but I really like this factory stock because we get a lot of strafe speed, giving us more rotational aim assist, plus we're a harder target to hit. This next build I wanted to go over, this is going to be the M13B, which this thing got another buff in the update, making this thing actually a lot better. And if you're on keyboard mouse, you'll probably love this weapon. This is the build I'm running. I found that the FJX felt the best on it. If you guys want to swap this out, the muzzles I would stick between are the X10 ported, the RF crown, maybe the Commando heavy if you're on a very big map, just to eliminate that annoying horizontal recoil. And then the FTAC Castle comp is good too, so is the Sock and Tread 40. For me, I like the FJX. For the underbarrel, again, if you want more recoil control, feel free to run the Commando. For me, I found myself doing the best with the Shark Fin 90. We got the high velocity as the same reasons as before. We got the Bruin Flash grip to increase the overall mobility, and again, to increase the overall mobility, we are running the Ravage 10. So you guys probably noticed the pattern within all the class setups that they're all pretty similar for the attachments. All the weapons in this game are already pretty good, and so you don't really want to throw on attachments that are going to give a lot of pros but also hurt the weapon. You only want to use the attachments that are going to fine tune the weapon, like the Shark Fin 90. With all that said though, that is going to wrap it up for the M13B. The next thing that we are going to be going over is, in my opinion, the best AR in the game, well, in ranked play because of the GAs, and this is going to be the TAC 56, which actually, here, I'll play the clip right now.
TAC barrel does nothing. We just use it because it slows us down. That's literally the only reason. We don't use the barrel on the TAC because it's good, chat. We use it because it's bad. That's literally the reasoning that we have to use the barrel. Because if you guys remember when the M4 was used, whenever the week where like the fast class became a thing on the M4, and then everyone started tweaking, that's the reason that we have to use the Tundra barrel on the Scar, because if you don't, ARs become OP.
I have been lied to my whole life. I actually thought the barrel made the weapon so much better. I believe even Exclusive Ace ran a barrel on his. The only creator that never ran a barrel on his TAC was Turbo Man. So shout out to Turbo Man for actually knowing about all this before the pros even said anything. And so basically, this is going to be the new best class for it. Run the high velocity, improving the net code on the game. For the underbarrel, I am running the Shark Fin 90. Again, if you want more recoil control, run the commando foregrip. And say you want even more recoil control, this is gonna work very well on like Embassy or LSilo. Run the Edge 47 or the F-Tac Ripper. Those two underbarrels are the same. For the muzzle, I know Scump runs the RF Crown. Sometimes if I'm playing on a massive map, I'll run the Kamado Heavy. I think Celium runs the X10 Ported, but most people run the FJX. All around, it's all personal preference, doesn't really matter at all. For the rear grip, we are running the Clean Shot Grip to increase that sprint to fire speed, allowing us to rush a little bit easier with the weapon. And then for the stock, you guys can run the Cardinal stock or the X-Line Pro. With the X-Line Pro, your weapon is snappier, but there is a little bit more recoil, and so you might only want to run this on Mercado, but overall, I just prefer the Cardinal. And if you do run the X-Line Pro, you might actually want to swap out the underbarrel for the commando foregrip, but this is going to be my favorite setup and the most common setup you'll see people running in ranked play. The next weapon I want to go over, this is going to be the Vel 46, which I do have two different classes for you guys. This first one is a little bit easier to use, and it seems like most people like this one. You guys can see not that much recoil. Okay, I couldn't control the recoil at all, but overall, not that much recoil, and you shouldn't really be challenging gunfights at medium range. Just stick to like the close range engagements. And this thing actually just got a buff in the Season 3 Reloaded update. Basically, they buffed the 30 round mag, so it's going to feel a little bit lighter, and so you might actually really start seeing more people running this over the VAZNEV. For this class setup though, there is a lot of recoil, so we are running the Assault 60 stock to bring up the recoil control. For the rear grip, to bring up the overall mobility, you want to use the Skalager Soldier grip. For the underbarrel, because there is a lot of idle sway on the weapon, you want to run the Bruin Sync Shot grip, which is going to eliminate all the idle sway. Since you don't really need 40 rounds, which is the base amount that this weapon comes with, throw on the 30 round mag, so then you are going to feel very, very light. And this is the attachment that they just buffed, and so it's going to feel very good. And then because there is like a negative damage range on this weapon, throw on the Tango barrel, which is going to really increase that damage range. For me, I actually don't even really like this setup. It's just most people like it. The setup that I like is going to be no barrel. For the underbarrel, you want to run the Edge 47, and I believe this is actually Shotzi's class. Then you want to keep everything else the same. Besides, for the stock, throw in the demo stock for more mobility, and so now you're going to have a very high speed weapon. This thing is so light. Also, this applies to both builds. If you want more recoil control, throw on the Bruin Pendulum, and then if you just want a little bit more recoil control, throw on the Spiral Flash Hider. This next build is the BAS-P. So the BAS-P actually just got a massive buff in this update, and so I really won't be surprised if I start seeing so many people running the BAS-P. One thing that they could do, or that they should do, that would really make the weapon meta, is basically increase the base ammo count to 40, then have a magazine where it's a 30 round mag. Then you'll start seeing so many people running the BAS-P. But overall, it's still a very good weapon. Got the Spiral Flash Hider for a little bit more recoil control. Again, if you want more recoil control, throw in the Bruin Pendulum. For the underbarrel, I prefer the Shark Fin 90. If you want, you can add the Commando, which actually is not a underbarrel. The Phase 3 grip is also a very good underbarrel if you want more recoil control. For me though, I'm just going to stick with the Shark Fin 90. And then for the rear grip, we are running the Bruin Flash grip to again increase the mobility. And then same reasons go for the Bruin Flash V4 stock. And you can't tune anything on here, and so I'm pretty sure we went, oh no, the snipers. I almost ended the video right here. So the snipers, you want to use the SPX80 or the MCPR. Most people are going to be running the SPX. With these snipers in the public matches, you usually just want to max out the ADS speed, but since this is ranked, you don't actually want to do that. In the competitive league, like the CDL, the pro matches, the attachments are GA'd, so if you do want to play just like a pro, don't run any attachments, but if you want to throw on attachments, these are the ones you want to use. For the stock, we got the DMR for stability and ADS speed. We got the Skalager Match Grip for a little bit more mobility, although if you want, you can run the Bruin. This is going to make it so you have more flinch resistance, so when the enemy is shooting at you, this should make it a lot easier to stay on target. And then for the bolt, we got the FSS to increase that rechambering speed to pop off that second shot off a little bit quicker. And lastly, of course, we are running the high velocity rounds. For the secondary, on every other class, unless I'm playing on Hydra, I'm always going to be running a knife. Sometimes on Hydra, I'll run a pistol because, you know, underwater you can use the pistol. For the sniper though, you always want to run the X12. This is going to make it so, you know, you don't have to rely on a quick scope if the enemy is rushing you. For the barrel, we got the XRK to make the weapon feel a little bit lighter. For the trigger action, we got the lightning fire to pop off those shots off a little bit quicker. And then lastly, increase the mobility and make it so you can swap to your pistol very quick, running Cronin Ligma 6. And with all that said, that is going to wrap it up. So I hope this was helpful, and deuces.